Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Zelda Cast here on ZeldaDungeon.net. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined, as always, by my friend and yours, Allison Aletha. Al, how the heck are you today?
I think I'm doing a little bit better than you. It sounds like you got the sniffles a little bit.
I got the sniffles. I got the fog headache. I've got the coarse throat. I've got a full blown guy cold here. It's been tough.
Yeah.
You should ask Sam
Sorry
what her
that
week
you're
has
not
been like.
sorry that you're not feeling too good, but I'm good over here. We finally got like a teeny tiny bit of snow, the first snow of the year, like barely this much of it, melted instantly. So that was nice.
Nice. Well, there you go.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, we are not alone today. We have a very special guest, the architect, in fact, of today's topic, joining us once again. Our friend and yours, the editor-in-chief of Zelda Dungeon, Mr. Rod Lloyd himself. Rod, how are you?
Hey, this is off to a great start. I'm already knocking things down. I'm live and on camera though.
Yeah, that's what kind of show this is going to be.
Yeah.
Mr. Anti-Fee himself over here making
Yeah,
his return.
Yeah, well that was like a gimmick, you know. That was
Of
me
hurt and
messing
heal
around.
fame. Rod is
God.
Someone on YouTube in the comments said everyone on this show is a villain except for Rod.
I love it.
Rod's alt account at work again.
Yeah, that was Ron.
Yeah,
Rod.
Ron Floyd.
Ron Floyd.
Uh, well, we are here today. It is the 22nd of February of 2026, which means that we are one day removed from the 40th anniversary of the Legend of Zelda series. A very big happy birthday to the series that we all love so dearly, has given us so much, and of course, we have been celebrating this series all month long. We are going to be continuing to celebrate this series for the next at least 2 weeks as we count down the top 40 moments in the Zelda Legendarium here. But before we get there, I do have to say, for anybody that's watching us on Twitch or that's watching us on YouTube, you're going to see my proud Maple Leaf Canadian jersey on. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to watch the gold medal game between Team Canada and Team USA, and Team USA was victorious in overtime. The score was 2-1. It was an exceptional hockey game. One of the fastest and most skilled hockey games I've ever seen. I was crushed. I'm sad with the result, but did want to just congratulate the men's U.S. team and actually the women's U.S. team as well. They won in overtime earlier this week on taking home the gold in hockey. We're coming for you in 2030, but what a great game that was today. I just, no complaints. Great hockey. Very proud of Team Canada as well.
I think it's really cool that Andy and I were talking about this before we started the show, is that it's so incredible that that everybody is there competing on the world stage, and like just these exceptional athletes. So like, yes, one won the gold, but another won the silver, and maybe that's a bummer, but I still think that's like a wild accomplishment. Like, that is so incredible. I'm not out here winning medals at the Olympics. Like, that's so cool. So congrats to both teams, really.
So glad to be on the hockey cast. This is great.
The hockey cast.
I could keep going.
I was gonna say, let's use this as an excuse to promote something. If you like the real Olympics, you might like the Zelda Dungeon Mini-game Olympics happening on the
right.
1st of March
This
at
guy.
noon Central Time on the Zelda Dungeon Twitch.
This guy. You know what?
I competed, or I will compete. I will be there. I will be competing.
I even had the article pulled up to plug, and Rod just cuts through and does it for us. Allison, I believe that you will be representing Team Podcast. Is that correct? Do I have my sources right?
I will be representing Team Podcast along with Cal and Jules. We will all be competing in the Olympics.
Would we be able to get? Is it public knowledge yet? The full team, the full roster, Rod?
Of teams?
Yes. Is that public?
Yes. So the teams will be, of course, Podcast, represented by Allison and the rest of the crew. There's the writing team, which I will be representing, along with many others. Our biggest rival this year will be the Dungeon Runners team, which is our speedrunning
Oh yes.
arm,
Well,
I guess, speedrunning team, and they're
Yeah.
making the favorites to win.
Yeah.
Isn't
writing
there some
team-
conflict of interest there? A couple of members on both sides.
Yes,
I'm
but
looking at like a
I,
Nicole Scott right here. Which team is she playing for?
she's playing for writing team. I made sure of that. Yeah.
Wow.
We during the draft, I was very cutthroat about it. And then of course, last we'll have the
The social team.
social. What I'm saying,
Yes.
yeah, social. Also a huge team.
Is YouTube included in that team as well?
YouTube is representing social. We've got
Wow.
Miranda coming up, hanging out with the social team.
That is a competitive roster that was just listed off. I wish you the best of luck. I knew I'm not even cut out. You said you're not an Olympic medalist, Al. I'm not even an Olympic Zelda mini-game medalist here. I think that we've all seen me play the zip gun game. I can't even think of what it's called.
Crossbow?
Yeah, that's the
Crossbow
one. I was so bad that I was like, I will just go first so I can be eliminated and go upstairs and drink beer instead. That's my contribution. So I'll be cheering you guys on as you do that. And of course, that's going to be happening on Zelda Dungeon's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Zelda Dungeon.
March 1st.
That's right. So like a week or so away. We're almost into February, if you can believe it. That seems wild to me. This winter is kind of went by fairly quickly for being a long winter, if that makes sense. All right. Well, we have some things to get into here, but I do want to give a special shout out to another series that is turning 40 this year. We talked about this a lot over on the Omega Metroid podcast, but I'm excited about this. Rod, I think you might be as well. We have a new, for the first time in like 20 years, a new Castlevania, and not just a Castlevania, but a Metroidvania Castlevania as well. Castlevania Belmont's Curse is coming out this year. Konami promised more of the like Castlevania related content this year, so very, very excited about that. Really looking forward to that, and I don't know when we'll talk about it again on the Zelda Cast, so I did want to just give a shout out to Castlevania, which is another series that I really love and hold dear, and I'm really happy to see Castlevania come back in a big way, it looks like, with this new game. So hopefully that'll be a real big success. And there we go. Okay, so yesterday, the 21st of February, was the 40th anniversary of the Zelda series. And I think that before we get into our list and start talking about the top 40 moments in this entire series from 1986 to present day, we should take a moment and just address, I know a lot of people were really hoping, were really wanting like a Zelda specific direct. Obviously that didn't happen or hasn't happened yet. I won't completely close the door on it. There's still a week left, or maybe there could just be a general Nintendo Direct and you might get some Zelda stuff there, but I think it's pretty safe to say like there won't be any like specific Zelda 40th content coming out. I have to say, like, I'm actually like totally fine with that. I think that like if you really look at it, the one of the only big things that I can remember is Mario 35, that being kind of a celebration, and that was just because COVID was happening and there was literally nothing else. And I guess like Zelda 25, there was
Zelda 25 was the benchmark. I think people want that again.
Even that, like you had the concerts definitely, and that was really cool.
Concerts,
I don't know if
Ocarina
that's
of Time
coming
3D,
though.
Skyward Sword, Four Swords Anniversary, Hyrule Historia.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It was a lot. I guess like I just don't expect that, and also because like I think like 25 is a bigger anniversary than 40 to me. Like now 50, that's a big one. That's definitely a big one. But I wasn't really shocked that there wasn't a whole lot announced. But I guess I will also say, like, you know, it is too bad because we did talk about some things that would be really cool if Nintendo did want to lean into that. But I do have to say, like, I thought that it was like a bit of a long shot. I think that you'll probably get some new Zelda games announced this year. So like that's coming. I don't know. I'd be patient, I guess, is what I'm saying to everybody.
I mean, I personally was like, I don't think that anything's gonna happen on a Saturday, because yesterday was the anniversary, and like I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff that usually generally happens on the weekends when it comes to Nintendo. So I was under the impression that perhaps I shouldn't say impression. My hope was something would happen on the final week of February. So I'm thinking that because I know that we have a big Pokemon Presents on Friday the 27th because that's Pokemon Day. It's the 30th anniversary for Pokemon, and I know that's like somewhat separate, but I just was kind of thinking maybe we would get something on Wednesday or Thursday direct-wise. It doesn't have to be a Zelda Direct, though I would prefer that. So I still kind of have hope that there's something. I'd be a little bummed if there was like absolutely nothing, and I think that was kind of the case with like Zelda 35 too. So, and it's just like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. We're here. We're supporting Nintendo. We're like giving them money for the series, and we love the series so much. Like it would be nice for like a little acknowledgement at least. And it doesn't feel like we got any of that yesterday. So
Yeah, it's easy to compare Zelda's anniversaries to Mario's anniversaries because Mario always precedes Zelda by a year. So Mario's 40th like wasn't a huge blowout, but like they did acknowledge it in a little segment during a direct last summer. Like, hey, it's Mario's anniversary. Here are like 3 or 4 projects or announcements or things we're going to recognize. And I think a lot of people were expecting that. I wasn't necessarily expecting a big blowout event this month, especially after the partner showcase. It was like, okay, we're getting a little direct. I don't think there's going to be another announcement, but I did think it was odd that Nintendo's social media accounts, the official Zelda like Twitter account, they didn't even like acknowledge the anniversary at all. They didn't say, hey, you know, this series is special. What's your favorite memory or anything like that? It's just radio silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that is too bad. I guess like I guess like I just wasn't expecting it at all. Just because, you know, that Nintendo historically, like they've done it for Mario, and I really like. I think the 25 is kind of like an anomaly. I'll put it this way:
now.
My expectations for Metroid 40 in August are in the ground. So we'll see what that looks like. But yeah. So I now that being said, like I think very very clearly, like this year, if you were disappointed that you didn't get anything right now at the beginning of the year, I think like it's almost a certainty you're gonna get your first trailer for the Zelda movie this year. I think you're gonna get a trailer for the new 3D Zelda game this year. I still do, and there's a lot of year left. Like we're not even in March yet, so there's a lot of time left to celebrate in some way. It would have been nice maybe to have something line up for the actual anniversary, but doesn't look like that is the way that Nintendo has decided to go. But we anticipated this over at Zelda Dungeon, and we started thinking ahead. And so we put together a list of the top 40 moments in the Legend of Zelda history. And I guess that we should preface with how this kind of came together, Rod, because this was not like a list that was just like easy to make. Let's just say like no. there was a lot of debate and deliberation, a lot of discussion, and a lot of detail that really went into narrowing down what first of all constitutes a moment. What is a moment versus what's not? What is an upper echelon moment versus kind of a lower ranked one versus a borderline? I think we
borderline slam dunk.
Yes, we got to a new verb where it was the border dunk, which is the kind of a slam dunk but borderline slam dunk. So those are like your mid card moments. So there was a lot of nights that went into this list, and I imagine like many more nights on your side, Rod, in putting the final details or project together.
Yeah, because I mean the writing team came up with this idea months ago, like late. I would say mid last year. We said, okay, the 40th anniversary is coming up. What do we want to do? And I actually want to credit Heather Beard, our art director, for coming up with this idea initially. I want to do the top 40 moments, and I was like, that's it. That's what we're gonna do. And I knew I wanted to get as many voices and opinions informing this list as possible. I didn't want it to be. I knew we couldn't do it with like mathematics like we do with Best Zelda Ever because there's just too many moments. So it was sort of like several rounds of deliberation. We threw it out to the entire Zelda Dungeon staff, like everybody in our break room and everything. And I said, hey, here's a Google Doc. Just list Zelda moments that are important to you. List them all. And we had hundreds of moments. So if anyone reads our ranking and said, "Oh, you forgot King Bulbin, the duel on the bridge," or you forgot, Ruto.
Any moment you can think of, I guarantee
Yeah.
was discussed.
Yeah, everything was mentioned. And then from there, it was sort of like the leading voices on the staff. So Andy was present, Mossie's, Josh, Katie, our social media lead,
All the copy
copy
editors.
editors.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just a group of like leading voices on the staff would go through and try to eliminate and narrow down and whittle down this list of hundreds to 40, which was a chore in itself.
Yeah.
And I actually polled the staff with a survey of, okay, I need you to rank these. We whittled it down to 100, and to get it to 40, I said, okay, rank these from 1 to 10, and that will inform our decisions on what makes the list. It was the closest thing to politics I've ever been involved in.
There was a lot of politicking and a lot of negotiation and wheeling and dealing making this list.
Yes.
And once we whittled it down to 40, that was not the final 40 that made the list. What do you think was more difficult, whittling it down from like 150 or whatever to 40, or actually like when you had the 40, placing it? Because both were tough.
I would say the toughest part of whittling it down was me having meetings with people, like even one-on-one, experts in their field, for example. Like I would have to meet with our longtime writer, Charles Xavier, about what is important in the lore category, and then talking to our speedrunning experts like Wes and Myth and say, hey, do we want to include some speedrunning moments? How important are those compared to stuff that's in the games? Talking to people who are alive in the 80s, people who, just discovered the series recently. I covered all bases just so that we can whittle down the moments and be representative of every Zelda fan. That was tough.
Yes.
And then I would say I was more frustrated with the ranking because it was just all of us arguing and wheeling and dealing, like Andy said, trying to compromise on what would make us all a little happy.
Al, it was like playing Coup over the course of like one big game over the course of like 2 weeks.
I don't know if I would compare it to Coup, because then I would just tell nobody to trust Andy's input whatsoever.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if a lot of people did. I was.
It's funny. It's like Andy and we see eye to eye on some of these moments, and then other ones like I have no idea what you're thinking. Same with like
There's some where I was like, Rod, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why. Mm-hmm. And then, there's like other ones, like, I think that we're just like, oh, yeah, it's a slam dunk. Yeah. But then when Rod and I would agree on a moment, that's when Josh comes in or Mossie's comes in. He's like, you guys are crazy.
Or Alex, who, who's, about 10 years younger than we are.
Yeah.
She has her own moments about, what's important in Skyward Sword, in Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes this list so beautiful. And I didn't have a lot of input on this list. I think the only input I really had is sometimes Andy would come and talk to me pre-podcast recording and be like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And I would kind of be like, I think you're wrong, or I think you're right. That's about all input I had. I
was mostly wrong.
Yeah. Anybody listening knows that I was super busy with my house these last few months, so that's where I was during the making of this list. But I think that's what makes this list so beautiful, is because of all the different input that you were able to get for this, Rod. Like, and why some of it just won't make sense to some people and some of it will. It's just like, it's because it's a culmination of so many different people, so many different backgrounds, how they play Zelda, how they experienced Zelda in the past, how they're experiencing Zelda today, and that's what this list is.
Yeah. It's tough because like a lot of people in the comments are like, you didn't rank these exactly how I would have as someone who grew up playing Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and right. I don't like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Why are there so many Breath of the Wild moments on here? And I'm like, well, it's if like the Zelda series is 40 years, the last 10 years of Zelda has been Breath of the Wild.
And like half of this series sales is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Let's also just acknowledge that, right? These games brought in a lot of new fans. So there was a very conscious effort by Rod and the team to like really capture a lot of different voices, opinions, backgrounds, outlooks, types of Zelda fans. So this is to say that when you are reading the list and we are discussing our input and our kind of analysis on where some things land up, if there is anything that you don't agree with, I bet you that almost nobody kind of agrees with this list exactly at the end, but as a collaborative, I thought that it came together so well, and I'm excited to talk about it. I do want to say, by the way, that so we're going to do this in two parts because there are 40 moments and there's a lot of Zelda to cover here. So we're going to do part 1 this week. We're going to discuss part 2 next week. I do want to encourage everybody to go read the actual article itself. If you've ever read a Best Zelda Ever article, this is going to look really familiar. You have kind of snippets from each individual writers. I was a guest writer on one of the moments, and I could tell exactly which one Gooey wrote before I even saw his name as well.
I said, hey, I knew certain individuals would write the best, entry for each moment, and I knew Andy, would have some eloquent things to say about a moment, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Before we start, should I read the rubric? Because Katie, our social media lead, said, hey, let's try to consider the moments based on these criteria. Should I read those?
Yes. I just want to put a cap on the point that I was going to make, though, and that so we're gonna talk about our reactions to some of the placements on this list, what we agree with, what we disagree with, what these moments maybe mean to us. But I do want to encourage everybody to go and read the actual list itself on zeldadungeon.net. It's a great article, really easy to read too. You can read it in chunks if you want. And there's a lot of really personalized input that is in this list. So we're going to kind of give you just the list from our lens, but for the whole collective, yes, please go and read the list. A lot of work went into it, and it turned out really well. So
some of the best work we've ever done.
Yeah.
As a writing team, just collectively, it's fabulous.
Yeah. So that being said, the rules of engagement, Rod. The rubric.
All right. So in the end, we tried to consider each moment's general memorability, so how memorable it was, its significance to the story of Zelda, the wider story, the lore, stuff like that, the surprise factor, which I think honestly it goes a lot into what a moment is. If it's surprising and that makes it memorable. Influence on the Zelda series as a whole, so traditions and things that would be carried forward throughout the series. Meaning within the Zelda fan base, and I think we speak a lot on things that we remember collectively as a group and what gets referenced a lot in comments and forums and podcasts and YouTube videos. Impact on the video game medium overall, so we're talking about impact on other games and other series and game design and stuff like that. And then lastly, contribution to pop culture. So if something becomes a meme, something, gets picked up and, remembered outside of video game, like the video game sphere, that's what we considered as well. Those things.
And just to be clear as well, so this is not just moments that take place within the game. This is real world stuff.
Yep.
As we will just get kicked right off with. Actually, let's get into this list, guys. We've talked about it enough. Let's go. Actually, before we do, Allison, did I hear you correctly? You have not looked at this entire list yet.
Okay, I have looked at items 40 through 21 because since I didn't have an active role in putting this together, I wanted to be surprised by the top 20 when we do the episode of part 2 next week.
Okay, at the end of this episode, we're gonna get what you think some of the moments are gonna be in the next edition of this list. Let's go to number 40, the 3 immortal words that shaked the world. This is Miyamoto. The live-action Legend of Zelda film is just announced out of the blue, out of nowhere. My God.
On a random Thursday in 2023 in September or October or something.
Now, can you imagine if that tweet had went out on February 21st, 2026? Right. That would have been cool.
By the way, it was November 7th, 2023, a date that will live on in infamy.
Yes. So here it was, the official announcement of a Legend of Zelda live action movie, which I think is what really took a lot of people by surprise, especially after the success of the Illumination Super Mario Bros. Movie. Kind of seemed like a natural that you would make I kind of envisioned the Zelda movie to be in the style of How to Train Your Dragon or something like that, that sort of cartoony but sort of realistic, kind of in between. But nope, they were doing a live action movie. I remember at the time, Sean Gatiss put out a really great article that said like Nintendo has chosen the most difficult path to success, but the rewards are the best for this, and I really firmly agree with that. Since then, we have got the casting of Link and Zelda. We've got some pictures that have come out, and I got to imagine like we're going to be seeing a first trailer soon. Maybe even as early as the Mario movie coming out in April. Like I'm not sure, but for me, like I've always wanted a Zelda movie. I would have also went for the live action route, knowing that it's a more risky proposition. As someone who has a podcast about video game movies and the stories that shape them, I was really excited for this. This will be the biggest thing to happen to our podcast ever when it comes out. And this was a moment that I definitely co-signed on this one being in. This one was definitely on the bubble. It beat out some other moments that didn't make it. But I'm happy that this one did, even though there's not a lot of meat on the bone, but it was just something that everybody had wanted for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a decent choice to be on this list. I think it's so funny that you're like, yeah, for my video game movie podcast, this is going to be amazing. But what about your Zelda podcast?
Well, I mean, that goes without saying.
I'm also very excited for all the content that we get to have for this movie coming out. So, yeah, that was fun. I kind of love it when Nintendo does those little surprise, like, shadow drop whatevers, and they're just like, by the way, this is something that we're doing now. So it's kind of fun when that happens, and that's why I'm, like, over here, like, maybe they'll do something next week for the anniversary, and it'll just be, like, a funny little drop instead of on the day. Yeah. Happy 40th anniversary, Zelda, and then that's it. But no, I think this is really cool. I'm really excited. I feel like a bigger moment for me is in the future when this movie comes out.
Definitely.
We'll probably like take over this moment for me personally because, I mean, how can it not?
Yeah. I think what made when this was suggested as a moment, it was by our good friend Kat, who's been with the site for a long time. When she suggested, I said that's a perfect 40. That's number 40. Obviously, the announcement didn't come with a lot of information, but it was the fact that it was announced in the first place is what made it a huge moment, because this is Zelda stepping into a new medium. When it got announced, I told the writing team, it's like, you guys aren't just writing about video games anymore. Like, you're writing about movies too now. You know, it's like you're movie critics or you're movie reporters. You know, it's like it means something in the world when your favorite property becomes a movie. You know, I'm sure folks who like comic books felt the same way when X-Men or Spider-Man came out. You know,
Yeah.
That's something that's happening a lot now too in like the book world. Like obviously books have been becoming movies for a while, but it feels like a lot of the books that I've been reading recently like are becoming shows or movies. Like Heated Rivalry is now a TV show on HBO.
Please tell me you've watched Heated Rivalry, Al. Please.
I still haven't yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I promise I will. But like that came from a book series, you know, that was just popular. And so I think it's cool that that's like amping up, and it just like kind of speaks to what you're saying is like now it means something more because it's the Zelda series is turning into a movie. And I think that's a really cool way to look at it. I didn't even think about that, but now they're going to be, the writing team is going to be like looking and reporting on the movie and everything that happens around the movie.
Yeah.
We got to get a exclusive with Wes Ball. Talk about his vision for the.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
The guy seems really, really like cool and into the Zelda community. Like he's been a Zelda, like a lifelong Zelda fan. You read any of his interviews or his tweets, it's like the guy clearly this is a labor of love for him. So,
yes,
if Nintendo lets him off the chain, I'm sure he'd love to do a show like ours.
Yeah, maybe like once the movie is actually out and established for a while, but we'll see. Let's go over to moment number 39. And Allison, this one's for you. Enjoy these final moments. The Demon King boss fight in Tears of the Kingdom.
Epic moment. Absolutely deserves to be on this list. So incredible. I was sitting with my brother playing this part of the game, and we're sitting here like you just kind of like how Julia states in the write-up for this moment. Like we're sitting here and we beat the initial first round, and then it's like, okay, it's time for round 2. He's growing more powerful, and then all of a sudden the health bar just keeps going, and we're like, what is happening? And then he's doing flurry rushes too. That was insane. And you get a little bit of Dead Man's Volley in there if you try hard enough. And then it keeps going after that. And I feel like after the disappointment of Calamity Ganon and Dark Beast Ganon in Breath of the Wild, this was so needed and so like exceptional. Like really good addition to final boss battles in the Zelda series. Like I am so happy this is on the list.
We almost just titled this the health bar. You know,
the health bar. I love that. Yeah.
But when I was pitching it, I said, well, I love that entire boss fight. I even love the lead up to it. I love fighting with your friends against his army, and then the demon dragon is just so rad.
Yeah,
I was like, let's
it
just
is
do the whole boss fight. You know,
I'm gonna be the hater.
I knew you would be.
I didn't have this on my list, but I don't hate it on the list either. Like I think for me, the moment when Ganondorf flurry rushed you, I was just like, oh my god, like that's my move. Yeah, I do that. So that was a great moment, and I really liked the descent into the depths to get him, and the finale with the demon dragon. I thought was fairly spectacular as well, and definitely a marked improvement over Dark Beast Ganon from.
Oh yeah,
I mean the whole thing, like the whole final sequence, I think was a marked improvement over Breath of the Wild, and actually the thing that really sticks out to me about this is something that Julia wrote in her write-up, which is like you cannot accidentally trigger the fight, which I think has happened to all of us in Breath of the Wild, which is like really anticlimactic, especially because there's no like, are you sure you want to enter the final boss kind of text there. So this wasn't on my list. I think that there are other moments from Tears of the Kingdom that I personally would have placed a little bit higher, but I certainly I'll be honest with you, like there's like one or two on here that I just like would not have on my list or just not choose to see on mine, but like other than that, even if it's not on my list, I'm still happy to see it on the master list itself.
Yeah, I personally have this much higher on my own list.
This one almost didn't make the 40.
Yeah, this was a late edition, right, Rod?
It was. So basically, when our team got back from was it Zeldathon a few months ago, they said, well, you know, in talking with everyone there, this moment needs to be on the list. You know, it's just like everyone who loves Tears of the Kingdom will point to this moment as something that's meaningful, especially that health bar, you know, moment. And so I think with enough pushing, we're like, yep, let's get it in. You know, so if you're mad that True Form Midna didn't make the list, you can blame this entry right here.
And I think that was a negotiating. Because I think I remember being like, okay, let's put this on, but let's get rid of Midna.
Yeah,
and I don't think I was the only one. I think was it Kat who had my back. So someone had me on that.
There was enough support, I think, where we pushed Midna out. You know, and that moment's great. You know.
Yeah. I did actually, and I even think I fought for that moment a little bit at the end. I was regretting it because I was like, well, this does True Form Midna really did lend itself to fan art for Zelda, but doesn't make the cut on our list. Spoiler.
It was also like in contention with Hyrule Castle from Breath of the Wild, and Andy was like, no way.
That one I was firm on. Yeah,
that was something that Andy asked me about, like outside of the meetings. He's like, well, what would you consider? Would you consider Hyrule Warriors part of this list? And I was like, I don't consider that a moment.
No, Hyrule Castle.
You know?
Yeah.
Hyrule Castle.
Yeah. Well, that was my argument too. I was like, well, you might as well just put like the Forest Temple or the Spirit Temple on the list. So
it was more of an experience.
And that's kind of, that was like, again, like the discussion, like, well, what is a moment? So you have a bunch of copy editors at a website debating the definition of like a moment. It
was what is a moment?
I gotta say, like making this was so awesome. Like it sounds like we were like kind of chirping at each other, but it was really fun to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to number 38. They Come at Night. The alien invasion of Romani Ranch. I was a big advocate for this one. I think this is great. This is just like, this is one of those like crazy, ridiculous moments in the series that like sometimes like Zelda is a series I think that takes itself seriously, which is why it works a lot of the times. But it also knows how to have a fun time and how to poke fun at itself too. And I think that this is like such a great encapsulation of that kind of spirit in Zelda, the humor in Zelda, and really what makes Majora's Mask kind of work as this weird, twisted, gnarly sequel that it's stuff like this that, even though so much of the game is Ocarina of Time, you are not fighting aliens that are looking to abduct the cows on Lon Lon Ranch in Ocarina of Time. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like this that really kind of solidifies the identity of Majora's Mask. So like, as silly as it is, like, this is one of my go-to moments whenever I think of Majora's Mask. So I'm really high on this being here.
What do you think, Rod? Did you want this on the list?
Yeah, well, I did. It's funny. When I just like Andy said, when I think of Majora's Mask, I think of the first time I went through this quest with my friend. Like, it was like he stayed over the night at my house, and I remember being up at like 2 a.m. doing this. It was very meaningful, on a personal level. And but then I started talking to, just my friends outside of the website. Hey, what are some moments you would consider standout moments from the Zelda series? And like, this was brought up like 4 or 5 times, like just independently by different people without talking to one another. They kept mentioning Romani Ranch, and I was like, man, this, even though it's missable, that was another thing. A lot of these are like side quests that we tried to include moments that most people would have experienced. And like, this is one of those side quests that takes some work to get to, and a lot of people still mention this as a standout moment from Majora's Mask. And I said, this has to be on there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it made it.
I've talked about my reintroduction into the series when I was 10 years old on the GameCube with the Zelda's Collector's Edition, playing with my brothers. Like, every important moment that we had in Ocarina of Time, we also had in Majora's Mask. And this was like significant for me and my brothers because we couldn't beat it. We couldn't win at first. And I remember like being a 10-year-old and it was like terrifying. I was physically shaking, like holding my controller. I couldn't like shoot the arrows very well. I'm like zip zapping around trying to get the aliens that are coming behind the barn. It was like terrifying in a way where I'm like, I might not win this. Not that because the aliens themselves were terrifying, but just because it was so hard for a 10-year-old and her younger brothers to figure out. So like, this is definitely a really big moment in my mind, and I would put this a little bit higher on my own personal list. But yeah, I'm glad that this like really stuck out to most Zelda fans out there.
I can't remember, Rod. Did we have people against this? I kind of don't think
Not
so.
really. No,
I think everyone was
was
like, this is just a lower tier moment, right?
Yeah, just because it is something that is optional.
And a little bit silly.
Even though it's like, and it's not part of the main story.
Yeah,
it really doesn't, like, as far as that criteria goes, like, it doesn't impact gaming overall or pop culture really. But it's just like, this is so memorable that everyone just like, yeah, we want this on here. And Nicole in her write-up brought up that it kind of is the real world bleeding into Zelda a little bit, because these monsters kind of have a resemblance to the Flatwoods monster from West Virginia, and then it kind of relates to like 90s fascination with the supernatural, like X-Files and all that. So I don't know. It's just like this stands out despite everything else.
You know what I like about this moment too, and I'm gonna sound old, but I don't care. This is just like kind of a nice side quest where, like, if this was to happen in a modern game, you'd have like your logbook telling you exactly where to go, exactly what to do, and this is just something that just naturally kind of happens, and you've got to keep track of. Even in Majora's Mask 3D, when you have the Bomber's Notebook, I feel like that's like something that you could keep track of it with. But back in the day, I just remember doing this on the N64. Like, this was just like so incredible. All right, let's move on to number 37. This was a little known fact, actually. This was actually number 1 on Allison's list, and she asked me to fight for it, and I said I would try my best, but this is as good as I could do. Number 37. Should we all do it together? Excuse me.
Princess. I think you just saw like me scroll down my computer and the light die in my eyes, and that's why you said that.
Yeah, so the Zelda cartoon debuts, and this absolutely iconic phrase is uttered. And this was, I guess, like, Rod, like, kind of sort of cheating, because we took like episode 1, or like the opening bits of episode 1 where Link first says it, but really this is meant to represent like the entire like animated run.
The airing of the cartoon in general.
which I was a proponent of. Like,
I pushed back a little bit.
You did.
Actually.
You did.
I was concerned that this was notable for only, the virtual theater folks and people who grew up back then, And I was like, do young people even care about this? But in talking to young people, as soon as I mentioned the cartoon and excuse me, princess, everyone's like, oh, that's got to be on there. What are you talking about? Like, I'm talking to people who are like 23 years old.
Yeah.
And they're like, they've never seen this cartoon other than the YouTube poops. And they think, yeah, that's got to be on there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love how in Gooey's write-up, I could tell this is Gooey because he said this to me so many times. And when I read it, and he says something along the lines of like, they give us a portrayal of how Link sucks so bad. And I was like, that's Gooey that wrote this. And he is. And it's something so glorious about this. Like, I would love to know the writers, like, be in the writers' room when they're just like, how should we like make Link in this series? We could go a lot of ways, but let's just make him a dirtbag. And by God, like, you know what? Say what you will. At least it makes it memorable and gives him personality and dare I say a little bit of Riz. I'm a fan of this on the list. And not just like for the actual memes itself, but I do think that there's a lot of good value to be had in the cartoon. Obviously, it's a product of its time, but it's trying to do a lot with a little. Like, there's nothing that Zelda has really established at this point, so it does what it can, and there's some really cool ideas in the show, and the catchphrase has lived on.
The catchphrase has definitely lived on. I personally wouldn't have this on my list just because I'm not the biggest fan. I've watched the cartoon. I understand. I don't want to, like, I know Andy and Goo are big fans of this. I don't want to yuck their yum, but like, it was never for me. So, but I understand that it did play, like, the memeability of it, of Excuse Me, Princess, is definitely part of pop culture today. So I can understand that being important per the guidelines of putting this list together.
That's right.
And it was funny. We when I what really pushed me into supporting having this on the list was I remember listening to podcasts of people who were kids when this cartoon aired, and they would every day come home from school and watch the Super Mario Super Show, and they would look forward to Friday because that's when you got a Zelda cartoon. And I'm like, yeah, that's a moment for people, like waiting all week and finally getting out from school and going home to watch the Super Mario Super Show while you eat your Zelda cereal. It's like, that is a moment.
I distinctly remember.
School and watch Scrubs.
Watch what?
Scrubs.
I did that. I did that.
I did that too.
I never cared for Scrubs. I gotta be honest, I don't really care for like any like shows set in a hospital, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I remember distinctly actually like being quite young and watching the doppelganger episode where Link was gonna kiss Zelda, because there was like the two Zeldas, and I was so pumped. I was like, oh yeah, Link's gonna do it, and like that was a big memory for me as a kid getting in. I didn't even love Zelda at that point. I hadn't played a Zelda game, but I was really excited for this particular moment. So I am happy that it ended up on the list. I couldn't in good conscience say that it should be ranked any higher, but happy that it's here. Let's go over to number 36. Dark Link's debut in Zelda 2, which set the stage for future appearances. And the second part of that I think is key, because I remember I wasn't really on board with this particular introduction of Dark Link. I didn't think it was that impactful personally, and I was pushing myself for, if we're going to put Dark Link on, I think we should put in Ocarina of Time, which I would still say is the more impactful one, but there is something to be said for the first appearance making its debut on this list as well.
For our cohort, I do think, Ocarina of Time's Dark Link battle was pretty impactful, and this was actually a Mossy suggestion. This one wasn't in the top like 40 initially, and then he said, "Well, I think it should be," and I had to go and consider the people who were playing the first few Zelda games. What did Dark Link showing up mean to them, and it's like it was a big. The most memorable thing about the end of that game, Thunderbird's cool, I guess, but
I would still personally say Thunderbird. To me, that sprite is just like, whoa. But Dark Link is pretty sweet in here, and if you're gonna put anything from Zelda 2, it's probably this. Maybe it could have been the game over screen too. Like that was definitely a
that was
pretty impactful
considered.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allison, what do you think about this moment?
Oh, it's very fitting. I think it deserves to be on this list. Zelda 2 might not be my favorite Zelda game. Whatever. Like I could still appreciate and respect like important moments that happened in it too that like gave way for the future, which is Dark Link, you know, some of the music being brought back in other games and other spin-off games and Smash Bros, etc. You know, like I understand the importance of this moment and I think it deserves to be here. I personally wouldn't have it on my list because it didn't have an impact on me,
Right.
but I respect the impact that it had on the series as a whole.
Would you have Ocarina of Time's Dark Link on your list?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be on my list.
Yeah, fair enough.
This was our compromise, I think. This is like
Yeah. And I feel like this is
you can
fair.
yeah.
Yes,
I think
I think it's fair.
I remember going to a concert. Maybe I'll discuss in a later entry, but the Symphony of the Goddesses, they do this as well. They would play gameplay footage while they're playing their music, and I remember going to one of those concerts, and whenever Dark Link showed up in sprite form in Ocarina of Time, whenever he was on screen, this guy would just shout yes. Yes!
I love that.
Was it Mossy's? He's like, we got to get this on the top 40.
Was he in Los Angeles in 2011? I don't know.
I don't think Moss has ever been on a plane, so I'm going to say no to that. Okay, let's keep going. Number 35. I thought that this should have been higher on the list personally, but here it is.
Me too.
Breath of the Wild's presence at E3 2016. And I think that context is key for this. You have to remember, so E3 2016, the Wii U is just like completely dead. And it's been dead for at least a year.
The Switch had not been announced.
The Switch had not been announced. It was still the mysterious NX. Nobody knew what it was. Is that, fact check me, is that right? Had they had that reveal yet?
No, they
I think we were
I don't think
still
so,
NX
right?
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we knew that this was coming, and I don't think that we had known that this was cross-gen yet, although I think everybody could see the way that it was going. But
they had not announced it, yeah.
The point is, like, this is the only game Nintendo has to show, because there's nothing else coming for the Wii U. And of course, the other part of this is, like, the game had been delayed, and not only delayed, but just like cast into the absolute abyss. You didn't hear anything about Breath of the Wild for forever until this E3, and it opens up with that absolutely incredible trailer, and then you have the set that they built, and it was like this this forest with these ruins, and it looked absolutely incredible. I remember I wasn't at Zelda Dungeon yet when this happened, but I was watching on my computer that morning, so excited for the reveal. And I remember, I remember Breath of the Wild across the screen, and I was like, that's perfect. So yeah, I thought that this should have been a little bit higher. What do you think, Elle?
I don't know if I particularly would actually have this on my list, because for me, like I was with Zelda Dungeon, not because it's a bad moment. Like, let me explain. It's more so like the impact that it had on. I respect the impact that it had on the series overall, on the fan base overall. It just didn't have the biggest impact on me because I wasn't there. I only did maybe a couple articles on this information. I think if I had been there, it would have been a totally different experience. But anyways, like the set pieces were beautiful, incredible, outstanding. The demo I think was really cool. I think this is the place where, when we were still kind of Zelda Informer, and we had a couple folks that were playing the demo, and they went up to the Talus, and the attendant was like, you guys can't beat the Talus. And then they're like,
no, you could beat the Talus. I beat the Talus.
That's what I'm saying, is like that's what happened, is I was like, okay, hold my beer, I'm going to beat the Talus instead of like going to explore the Great Plateau. And I'm like, that's like so cool. So I can understand if this is like really high on your personal list, Rod, because you got to experience it. For me, I respect where it's at on this list.
Yeah, so that's why it's so low, is because it was such an exclusive event as far as like how we named it, where it's like Breath of the Wild at E3. So we're going to talk about other Breath of the Wild trailers on this list. I personally think the 2016 trailer is my favorite Breath of the Wild trailer.
Okay.
To me, it represents what Breath of the Wild is to me more than any other trailer that they've released. The exploration, it's so classy. You know, it's like it's just kind of nature. Link, you know, they all the montage of Link climbing and cooking and everything. Like all that was completely new. We had not seen Zelda U very much in the years prior. The only things we saw were Link running from a guardian, him on his horse dodging apple trees, and that was about it. So for them to show this much and to show all the different systems that Breath of the Wild was going to take advantage of, and the Great Plateau is one of the best tutorial areas in gaming history.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
That demo that they showed at E3 that year and what the trailer was built on was the Great Plateau. And I tell you what, like nothing got me more excited to play this game than going through the Great Plateau. It was incredible. And that's all before I talk about going to the show floor and seeing what they did. Because if you were there in LA that week, Breath of the Wild was the talk of the town. It was the coolest experience you could have ever had at an E3. It was they made their entire booth, and Nintendo always goes all out on their booths. So they said, we're only going to show one game. We're like, what's this going to be like? And they made you go through a doorway. It was like a portal. They had like an LCD screen that would open up into the booth, and it was like an ancient door you'd step through. And it felt like walking into Hyrule. It was crazy.
It looked incredible, like absolutely.
A guardian
incredible.
And bokoblin, and they use sound effects and animatronics, and they even they had like push buttons on the floor underneath the mats, and as you stepped in front of the bokoblin, it would make a noise.
That's really cool. It makes me think of how theme parks are these days, like Disney World and Universal, and how they have the set pieces and you just like go around kind of interacting with the set. Like that's what this looks like to me.
They could have the Universal is doing these like fan fests over the summer now, and they did like a Dungeons and Dragons walkthrough. They could totally just do a Zelda walkthrough and use this as their,
absolutely
template.
Yeah, this would have fit right in at that museum in Seattle we went to, Al, the pop culture one. Like that, this would.
Yeah, that would have been so cool. Could you imagine a Guardian statue there? That'd be so sick. 5
nights at Zelda's. So we will talk more Breath of the Wild in the future here. Spoiler, but we'll be back. Okay, number 34, Princess Zelda is announced as the protagonist of The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. And I think everybody was on board for this one. It was just a matter of where in the list it was going to place. I wanted to shout out my pal Nicole Scott. Actually, we were talking a couple days ago, and she was like, I'd like your opinion on a daily debate that I published a while ago. That was like, would this debut have been more impactful if it was, call it like a mainline, like a 3D game? And I think it would have. But I do think that this was probably the right forum to debut Princess Zelda. Rod, I was saying my fantasy booking actually was I would have switched Age of Imprisonment and Echoes of Wisdom and had Echoes release on Switch too, and I think that would have been even bigger. But I mean, there's no denying, like, this is a huge moment in the series. I think people have been asking for it for a long time. There was that whole discussion about, like, can you pick Link's gender in Breath of the Wild? And I don't know that a lot of people wanted that. Like, I didn't really want that, but I did want to play as Zelda, and I think a lot of us did. And at this point, you've got to play as Zelda in some of the spin-off games, but it was at the point where it's like, let's have an official game, and you got it in Echoes of Wisdom. And I think it was a really big moment to have for the series, and just like kind of, I don't know, representation, which to be honest, Nintendo's not always been the best at. Like, and look at our diversity in Zelda articles, and I think a lot of those critiques from 5, 6, 7 years ago when we ran them kind of still hold true. But you do have a game where you get to play as Princess Zelda, and I have some of my qualms about how the game's ending went, but I think this is definitely an achievement for the series.
I think, for me specifically, this moment for me, I would have made it way more niche, and it would just be specifically the announcement and experiencing it at the marathon.
Yeah,
because
that was a moment for a lot of people for sure.
exactly. Like I felt like it made it so special, so different. You got Palmer freaking out behind me. You got everybody else losing their minds. Like, what is this? Is this Zelda? And then all of a sudden you see little Toon Link, or not Toon Link, but little Link's Awakening Link, and it was just like such an incredible moment because we were together, and it was just really special for us. It made me reminisce about those videos you would see about Nintendo New York City store and like people reacting to trailers for Zelda and all that kind of stuff. Like that was our moment at the marathon. So I would specifically like crunch this down and that would make it go on my list. But I think like the overall accomplishment of this announcement being like Princess Zelda being the protagonist, I do think that was really important for the series as a whole and like gives a lot of hope for what we could see in the future.
It felt like the culmination of like 10 years of fan discussion, like Andy said. Is like when Breath of the Wild was in production, people thought, is Link, could you play as a girl Link? And then Linkle was announced for Hyrule Warriors, and that was a thing.
Linkle.
And then like the entire time of Tears of the Kingdom's development, from the point where they announced it to when it came out, everyone thought, are you going to be able to play as Zelda in this? Is Zelda going to be like a co-op character, or are they going to be able to switch between them? That was a huge point of discussion, and Eiji Aonuma was very coy about it, like, well, maybe. and it never happened. And then so for them to finally announce a Zelda game starring Zelda that wasn't Zelda's adventure, is pretty impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a great moment in the series, and I hope it's not like a one and done. Like I think that Echoes was successful enough that we should hopefully see another game. I don't know if I'd bring back the Echoes concept necessarily, but I've always like really wanted an RPG with Zelda, just like a classic JRPG, magic and swords, and like sign me up. Like that sounds absolutely great. All right, let's move on to our next one. This is number 33. We have so much left to go through here, guys. Oh my god. This is number 33. Breath of the Wild wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards in 2017. And this is, I don't know if this would be on a lot of other people's lists, maybe, but I think this is one for, at least for me, like the writing team, like Rod and Al and I were kind of like the new generation of Zelda Informer writers at the time. There was that amazing concert where the Champions Ballad was announced, and they had that really spectacular music montage, and of course Breath of the Wild goes home and basically pulls a Return of the King and wins everything it could have. And I will actually say this, I said it a couple of weeks ago, but with the release of Metroid Prime 4, it really has made me look back at the release of Breath of the Wild and just marvel at how everything that could have went wrong for the game went right. Every single thing went right for Breath of the Wild, and it was just truly like a once in a lifetime release. Even when Tears of the Kingdom came out, you didn't see that same level of acclaim, and it was it was nice to see, after a couple of really tough years of being a Nintendo fan. And this game specifically, like it felt like this was the most important game that Nintendo had ever released, because it really felt like the weight of the world was on Breath of the Wild's shoulders, and like if this game bombed, then Nintendo, it was not unrealistic to say that like their console making future was in jeopardy in 2015, 2016, and Breath of the Wild just comes out and is just like absolutely this clutch game that's racking up Game of the Awards, and you know what? It doesn't get bigger than the Game Awards. We all have our opinions about our pal Knightley, Jeff Keighley over at the Game Awards, but you know what? Say what you will about it, but he's turned this show into a massive show. This has millions and millions and millions of views on YouTube. This was a huge moment for Nintendo and The Legend of Zelda.
What do you think, Rod?
Okay, so it's very interesting. I have to credit Jackson LeDuc of Zelda Dungeon for putting this back in the ranking. We threw it out before we even got to 100. Yeah, so we had the top 100 moments we were going to whittle down to 40, and this was not in consideration. And Jackson pushed real hard, and he said this needs to be in there, and he offered a very good case to me, and then I represented it to our committee. And everyone's like, yeah, it should be on the top 40. And dang it all, it made it all the way to 33, which I think is a testament. When I was considering this moment as a moment, I had a lot of the baggage of what the Game Awards is to me now, which is a
Yeah.
chore to watch.
Yes.
It's
I
a
was thinking the
cynical
same.
product, a cynical commercial showcase with awards deprioritized every year. It's soulless. It's annoying. I'm God bless Jeff Keighley, but I cannot. Well, I hate his show. Sorry, I hate watching it. But I had to put myself back in the shoes of 2017 Rod, because by that point I think the Game Awards was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and it still it meant something. Like we did consider the Imagine Dragons and Zelda performance in 2014 or something like that, and it's like that was when the Game Awards was important, you know. And 2017 is still like it was. I had to acknowledge that I think every Game Awards now is probably the most watched video game award show yet. You know what I'm saying? So at the time, 2017, that was the most watched video game award show. You know, say what you will about like GDC Awards or any other game award shows that they have out there, but the Game Awards is the big Oscars of the video games.
Totally.
Industry. So for Breath of the Wild to win it on gaming's biggest stage at the time, I think, I was like, that is meaningful. And what really pushes it over the edge is Aonuma's speech at the end. The man's about to cry.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing, where it was just like, I don't really care about the Game Awards now. I'm pretty sure I didn't even watch it last year, but I remember this being like, this is like a Game Awards that I really, really enjoyed. It like kind of like set maybe all three of us up to like expectations for the following year's Game Awards. And then as they didn't deliver as well as 2017, not just with like us winning, or like Zelda winning Game of the Year, but also like the announcement of the Champions ballot and all that kind of stuff. I think that kind of maybe tarnished the Game Awards for us a little bit. Plus of like how much
it also doesn't help. Nintendo just doesn't do anything at the Game Awards.
Yeah, exactly. So like we had these high expectations the following years, and they just weren't met. And so that was kind of not great. And then I had a good time in 2023 because another game that I loved won over Tears of the Kingdom too. Like I would have been okay if Tears won, but I was rooting for Baldur's Gate 3. Anyways, this was so like fun. I remember all of us being in the chat. I remember we like sat there and we watched all the stuff. It was super hype. It was so fun. We covered the news for it. That was like a great time. So like I personally feel this moment because of the niche of us spending time together and doing this together and like experiencing it together.
I remember pushing hard for this. I feel like there was a lot of people that were just kind of like, eh. And I think that you're right, Rod. Like a lot of that was from the writing team that unfortunately has to cover these shows. Yeah. And I'm gonna say something, and you'll probably hate it, but I would stand by this. I think if Zelda game won the 2026 like Game Award Game of the Year, that's still a huge deal. Like say what you will about the show, but this is the award show for video games right now. And yes, it's closer to the MTV Awards than it is the Oscars, but even the Oscars are going down that path, right? So like it's still a big deal, and I was proud of Breath of the Wild for doing this.
Yeah, me too. It is a testament to people forget this. I think a lot of people are down on this new era of Zelda games because it's not real Zelda, or it's changed too many things, got rid of too many traditions. But Breath of the Wild was a game design like touchstone. It elevated what game design could be, like all these systems, and they got it to work on the Wii U, they got it to work on the Switch. The fact that they made all of this, they made this game work. It's a masterclass in what game design should be, and I think the game industry recognized that, and that's why Breath of the Wild won so many awards and was so beloved, is because all these experts of the craft made a game that seemed like it seemed impossible to work, but they made it work, and they took the open world genre and made it like they just delivered the perfect experience in the open world genre, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go on to number 32. This one had quite the journey on the list, Rod, from not being on the list to being in like the peripheral to ranking
almost combined with another one.
Yeah. We have the final hours, the moon crashing onto Clocktown in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And so the big thing about this moment that I remember was the big hang up, and we talked about it earlier with actually another moment in Majora's Mask, is like not everyone gets to experience this. And in fact, for this moment, you really have to go out of your way to experience this moment. But I think the moment itself is just so powerful that you almost like not including it did seem like a offense on this list almost, because like you're literally watching the apocalypse. It's probably the darkest moment in all of Zelda. I mean, there's nothing quite like it. So yeah, this one I think earns its place.
I don't know how I feel. Like, I kind of get where we're coming from, where it's like not everybody experienced this. I wonder if like how many people experienced it just because they were curious. Like, because I think that's how we experienced it. My brothers and I, we were just like, what happens if we don't go back in time? Like, what really goes down? And then you're like gobsmacked, because like really the moon destroys everything, and it's kind of wild. And so I can understand where we're coming from, where yeah, maybe not everybody got a game over, maybe not everybody was curious, so not everybody got to experience this. So I do kind of wonder why this is on the list, but I'm okay with it being on the list. It is something that's very jarring to witness.
We also tried to think, do we include this moment where it the fail state, for if you will, or do you include the moment where the giants come in and save Termina?
Yeah, I could see that
more. We
more.
were going back and forth, and I think Josh W of the writing team put it best when he said, what is success without failure at first? And so like the giants coming at the end was so meaningful because a lot of players, maybe out of curiosity, had watched this fail state where the moon crushes everything, and they think, oh wow, yeah, so I really need to get into gear and get these giants awakened or freed, so that I could save this place, because I know what can happen if I don't.
That's how I felt about the gold medal game this morning. Failure is just what is success without failure? So 2030, we're gearing up, baby. But
there you go.
Yeah,
we're witnessing our own final hours here for Canada's hockey team.
That's right. A really great moment. I think that it is. There's just nothing like it in Zelda, so I think that is like warrant enough for putting it on the list. Number 31. Rod was saying earlier that there were some moments that him and I, generally speaking, Rod, you and I, we're on the same page for a lot of things, but this one we were just
I don't even
on different books.
I'm not even like arguing with you. I see your perspective and I kind of share it, but I'm advocating for other people with this one.
This one is the only moment on the list where I was just like, nope, I would not have put this on my list. So here we go. Number 31, the descent into Old Hyrule in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. So you go into the castle and everything's frozen in time. I would not have had this on my list. I got to be honest, I would not have had this in like my top 50. But that's okay. Al, do you have any particularly fond moments of this?
I mean, I remember it being like kind of a shocking thing. And like a part of the moment that I really like is actually more funny than like serious, is when Link's going down and he's like holding his breath, but then he starts coughing because he can't hold it any longer, and then he like realizes, oh, I can breathe down here, and he makes this really funny face. He's just like, okay, yeah, I can breathe. Like it's just funny to me every time I see it. I don't particularly have this moment from like, I feel like there's a lot more powerful, impactful moments of Wind Waker that I have on my list, but I guess I get it. Maybe not. I don't know. I wouldn't have
this one. I didn't get like at all, but I was like, all right, whatever.
I get the shock factor of it being like, oh my god, like Old Hyrule, but we knew from the story at the beginning that it was flooded. So like, I don't know.
Speaking for myself, I did not anticipate ever going down there, though. I was surprised, and I honestly, as someone who really enjoyed Ocarina of Time: Majora's Mask, and I wasn't as high on the Wind Waker, not because of the art style, that stuff didn't bother me, but I was just like, the sailing didn't do it for me, and I wanted a more traditional medieval, adventure. So going down to Old Hyrule to me was memorable, because it's like, oh wow, this is this taste of what Hyrule would have been in this style, with this art style. You kind of see it off in the distance, like what is, I want to explore that Hyrule out there, but I think again, talking to a lot of people who grew up on the Wind Waker specifically, it's like this was their first Zelda game. This moment was the point where a carefree, almost like a child's adventure game became serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the King of Red Lions gives you this, you know, heart-to-heart talk before you go down there, and says, okay, your adventure, like, this is where things get serious. You know, are you ready? Like, it's almost like you're a boy now. This is when you become a man.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
can see
so-
that.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know, and like you go down there, you get the Master Sword. It's cool. I like I personally like the music. I think it's
The
like
music's
this
good.
eerie
The
version
music's
of
good,
the
yeah.
Hyrule Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, with like the creepy choir. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So I would like, to me, in my personal list, like Andy, would I include this at all? You know, I think it's a borderline thing, but like it would be, you know, lower on the list in my personal ranking. But I think when we talked to the Wind Waker fanatics, you know, like it kind of settled here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rod at one point had to just say, like, Andy, I don't want to hear you talk about this anymore, because I was just like, I don't get it. Like, what? This moment to me wouldn't even be in my top 10 in Wind Waker.
I have like a really top moment from Wind Waker that I would put on this list, and I don't know if it's it might be for the
Give it
before the
to
top
us right
20.
now. We're not going to tell you if
It's-
it's there or not.
The king touching the Triforce, I feel like, is the biggest moment in Wind Waker for me personally.
Well, you'll have to see if it's on the list or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. I can't remember if it's before the top 20 or not.
But what was I going to say? So folks like Ian, for example, who wrote our entry, who did a really good job explaining what it meant to him. But then we were on the call with Alex, and Alex was in the room with Grovile. Kieran, and Kieran was another advocate of this moment. You know, they're a bit younger than we are, and he was very adamant on why this was an important moment for him in the Wind Waker as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would have, spoiler,
you know,
I would have had the canon from Wind Waker on this list.
That's like a funny moment, though.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good one. That's a good one as well, though.
You asked me what's the most memorable moment from the Wind Waker? I think it's the canon.
the canon is pretty memorable. It's pretty funny.
I would have had that over this all day.
Or like
every
when
day, but
or the Triforce statue blows him up and he hits the Tower of the Gods. That's also pretty.
Yeah,
oh, that's
that
such
was-
a good
that was
one.
great
That
too.
wasn't even in consideration.
yeah.
Aw, dang.
There's our
That's a
first
good one.
one that we missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job.
Okay, number 30. E3 2019. The Nintendo has just had one of their best directs of all time. It ends off with a fan favorite announcement. Banjo-Kazooie is in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I am covering this with Taylor Wells for the Champions Cast at the time. And just when you think this direct is over, it is already going down as one of the great moments with directs in Nintendo history. Number 30, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is in development. This was so hype. Like the scene, the music that like that we always love to do on the show. The green stuff that goes everywhere. This was so awesome. This was great. I was definitely an advocate for this. I don't think anybody was really against this. I think it was just a matter of where it was going to land on the list. Great moment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely in my top 40. I was at work. I was like hunched over my phone like this, make sure nobody's walking by, can see me watching the direct. And then I'm losing my mind like quietly in my cubicle because this teaser's coming on. And then I spent the whole rest of the 10 hours of my shift analyzing that video. Like I did not get any work done that day. Such a hype moment. And I believe I was still on the writing team at that point. And so, yeah, I was helping cover that, I think, or at least trying to because I was at work. But yeah, it was just wild. And then like the dehydrated Ganondorf stuff that was coming from it, like that is such like pop culture now. Like it's so great. I love it. It was so good.
Every aspect of this trailer was dissected and theorized about that year.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
we had a
The
daily
squirrels.
debate for just about every moment from this moment.
Yeah.
Short hair Zelda, dehydrated Ganon, the what is the green swirling stuff? What's up with the
Mhm.
music? Is the game and like Aonuma had said in interviews, like, you know, drawing comparisons to Majora's Mask, you know, because obviously it's kind of in the same engine. It's a direct sequel. And I think this was the last real E3, right? I was there that week. And
Yeah, it might have been.
2020, this was it, because after this we had
Yeah,
just had
I
the
guess they
virtual
canceled
E3s.
because COVID happened like shortly after.
Yeah. So we had like the dumb virtual E3s that were nothing. So this was the last real E3, and this was Nintendo's like greatest E3 direct ever in my like in me
Oh
viewing it.
yeah, I think so. Without this was like a top notch E3
Because
for
that was
Nintendo.
like Metroid Prime 4 was also announced or re-announced.
That was
right?
2017. That
17,
was
okay.
announced, but like you had a ton of like really awesome stuff in this direct. Like you had Link's Awakening was at this direct.
Yes.
Luigi's
Yes.
Mansion 3 was at this direct. Banjo Kazooie, the sequel. I mean, I thought this was DLC to be honest when I saw it, and the fact that it was a whole sequel. And at the time, I remember thinking as well, like, oh, I bet you this is coming out soon. Like really soon. I remember Mossy's. It's funny.
Yeah.
Looking back, Moss was like, "Oh, this will be out in 2020."
I do remember him being
Yeah.
like that. He's like, this is coming out immediately. And I do remember that. I remember like how it really just revived the fandom, even though we weren't like very gone yet at that point, because we still recently had like the DLC for Breath of the Wild. But like people were like not only analyzing, they looked at the script that the Green was making, was able to translate that within like
Yeah.
2 days. And seeing that it sealed Ganon, they were playing the sound backwards to see if there was like a secret message in it. It was wild. Like the whole community just like was so revived by this.
Andy, you remember like there were people, former Zelda Dungeon writers who saw this trailer and like begged to come back.
There were, yes.
Like this, like you said,
High
this
demand.
reignited the love.
Yeah.
Big time, yeah, big time. And personally too, like for me, I had joined Zelda Dungeon like in kind of the build up to Breath of the Wild. I joined right before 2017, so this is the first new Zelda game that's been like the first new big Zelda game that's announced since I've been on the team. So this was another like really cool moment for me personally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Oh my god, we were an hour and a half in and we're at number 29. Let's go. We've got another one from Majora's Mask here, and this one is undoubtedly a super cool moment. The transformation into the fierce deity in Majora's Mask. In my own headcanon, Rod, I'm kind of like lumping this together with Coming into the Moon for the first time as well.
Yes, most definitely. We kind of lumped in the Majora's fight, going to the moon, all of that at the end of the game, you know. But like we couldn't just make Fierce Deity its own moment, even though it is like the standout from that, you know.
Yeah,
especially when I was like I was like 8, 9, 10 years old when I was playing this. Like nothing was cooler than Fierce Deity Link.
Oh my god. And like nothing was creepier than going to the moon. And I don't know what you guys were expecting, but I was not expecting this tranquil field with one tree.
Right.
The Shire on the moon, and it's just like, what is good? It's one of those things where it's just like it's uncanny valley. It feels too peaceful to be peaceful. You know what I mean? So the whole thing was great. The transformation into the fierce deity was awesome. The fight with Majora was incredible. The way he discards Skull Kid was absolutely, it was kind of heartbreaking actually. The whole sequence was awesome.
Absolutely. What do you think, Rod?
I think I honestly was just like the fierce deity as a character. Like it was something that, you know, when before Wind Waker was announced, it's like, oh man, I want a game just starring that guy, you know. Or I want him in Smash Brothers Melee. Like it was like this mythical, like what Zelda is now to me. Like, oh well, now Zelda's just going to be an awesome dude, you know, an awesome man guy.
It kind of was like the Hero Shade before the Hero Shade a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember like my brothers and I, we played through this game, right? This like the whole moon sequence and fighting Majora was just so wild and out there and just so crazy. And then when you put on the fierce deity mask, it's like it makes the fight like it really like highlights how strong Link is. But I remember when my brothers and I played the game, we were like, oh, so we're never going to be an adult in this game because we played it directly after playing
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of confused by that. Like, I don't think we were upset, but like we were definitely like kind of like, this is weird. Now you're just playing as Kid Link the whole time. And then you get to this point and you're like, oh, this is when you get to be the grown up Link. And he's like 10 times more powerful and he's sick looking. And so like it was like a big deal because we were like, oh, this is where adult Link gets to be, you know? So for us as 10-year-olds, for some reason that was a big deal. Obviously that doesn't matter now, but like it was just so cool. So I get this moment. I don't know if I would 100% put this on my list, but I get it. Like it's a really cool moment.
Al's first crush, Fierce Deity Link. Hey, maybe mine too. I don't know, man. He was looking pretty good. He's looking good. Okay, number 28. This one went back and forth and and sideways, and I was so I was a big proponent for Link's Awakening moment, but ended up kind of being a big proponent for this one as well, Rod. And I think this one ended up higher than you might have imagined that it would. It's
funny, yeah. We fought over two Link's Awakening moments, and at some point we said, "Well, it's only got to be one. We got to pick one. Which one is it going to be?" And then like somehow both
we politicked our way into.
It was like an even split. Half people said this moment with. Have you said it yet?
I haven't said it yet. So let's go. You should know the truth. The revelation of the at the Southern Face Shrine in Link's Awakening. And this is when you find out that this island full of all of these wonderful people that you've grown close to, that you care about, is just a dream. It's just a dream, and should you wake the Windfish up, which is your mission, you are going to destroy this island and these people, which, for a Zelda game, this is heavy. This is heavy stuff, man. And Link's Awakening is one of my favorites, and I really remember wrestling. You know, it's funny, Metroid Prime 4 comes out, and it tries to do the Link's Awakening ending, and it completely botches it, and here we are talking about the right way to do this, which had been done 30 years prior on the Game Boy, of all places. And I just, like, I thought that this was such an awesome ending, and just really, like, you're talking about a moment that completely shifts the vibe and the tone of a game. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I personally... go for it, Rob.
Oh, I was going to say, this is the moment I thought from Link's Awakening, which was more important of the two, you know? And so I was pushing hard because I felt like, it has more to do with story. It's more impactful to me. Like, oh, wow, yeah, this game got real, you know? And yeah, even on a Game Boy, like it was a kind of cinematic story moment, you know, on a platform that didn't seem capable of doing that. And I'm glad it made it. I'm glad. And at some point we almost considered throwing this off, and you know, it somehow inched its way back up.
Shout out to Kat Vidam. She was a big defender of this as well. And she
Alex
won me over to her cause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Alex Weber as well.
I feel like I'm grateful that this is on the list. For me personally, this is not on my list. It's nowhere near my list, but that's because I didn't experience this game like everybody else did. I experienced it with 2019, and because Andy is such a big fan of it, I already knew what happened. So the impact didn't hit me the same that it hit, you know, everybody who played this back in 1992. So it didn't hit me. It's not a moment for me. It's not something that impacted how I felt about the game or the series, but I get it. Like, I get if I had played this game back in the day and like got to that story beat and was like, wow, like that's incredible. Like, and now I have to make this like altering decision about how this game is gonna, like, how it's gonna end, how these people are just gonna disappear. You know, I get it. I get why it's on this list, and I'm glad that it was advocated to be on this list, because I think that it, like, story-wise, that's a really big, like, that's a big deal for a Zelda story, I feel like.
Yeah. I thought this moment was great. So I was glad to see it end up, because this was looking like it was going to be like number 39, 38 kind of thing for a while, and somehow, some way, it just kind of kept on shooting up higher and higher as we were negotiating, and we spent a lot of time on this one in particular, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, Al, this one's for you. Number 27. Give them a future. The exceptional, I will say, climax of The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Take it away, Al.
So is this, Rod, is this like the culmination of like everything that kind of happens
Yes,
at the
everything
end?
that happens on that platform with the water falling, everything there. So everything from the king touching the Triforce, which you've mentioned,
Okay. Yeah.
to the boss fight, teaming up with
Yeah.
Zelda,
Absolutely.
stabbing him in the head.
Fair. I think like all of that is really important because it's so climactic and so incredible, like such a crazy ending. You're like on this platform, the floodwaters are coming in. Ganondorf's about to take the wish, but then all of a sudden the king's there and he takes it from him, you know? And then you have like this team up fight with Zelda, which is incredible, and you're doing all these crazy moves. The music is sick during this part. And then this like world-ending catastrophic blow to the brain with the Master Sword and like sealing the Master Sword in like the rock corpse of Ganondorf is just like so wild for such a like cartoony, colorful game that is Wind Waker. And then of course like the heartfelt like end of the king too, and like sending the kids back up. But like what a overall great ending to a Zelda game. This definitely deserves to be on the list. This is on my list. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It really is a bunch of moments in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the setting. Oh, sorry, as I drop my phone on my mic. Sorry for the shock to the ears, everybody. The setting for this is like super exceptional. Like you've got the falling rain or the falling waves, I guess, crashing around you. Lincoln, like this is the first time like Zelda participated in the ending of Ocarina of Time, but like I felt like she was a much more active participant in this ending as well. And it was just kind of that like you had the three pieces of the Triforce that were there. There was this great battle. The music is awesome, and that final shot of Link going up and going full Sephiroth on Ganondorf is like so awesome. I mean, it's the only difference is that Link stabbed Ganon in the head, and then of course to what you were saying earlier, Al, the when the king kind of snags the Triforce wish and wishes for a better future. I think that was a really great moment. So I think actually the ending of I'm kind of with Rod, like the Wind Waker. It's not like my favorite Zelda game, and for the same reasons, not because of the art style, just because of the way that the game is laid out. But like the ending, I think you can put up there with, you can put it up there with any other game's ending. I think it's really awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, number 26. We have what, 5 more to go? We'll be finished before the 2-hour mark, maybe. Number 26. Link frees Epona in Ocarina of Time, and you've got a friend for life. Obviously, I loved this.
Mm-hmm.
This is
a big hell yeah moment. Like, so, like, just felt so good to stick it to Ingo, whatever his name is, and just, like, get your horse back that you befriended. And it's just like, oh, God, it felt so good.
It was great. I think that this is probably where roughly I would have it on my list, maybe within, like, a place or two. But I feel like it's where it should be, like, because I really do love that cutscene of like you and Epona jumping over the gate. I will say that I do think that some of the power of this moment, why I wouldn't rank it higher, is in another moment which we'll talk about later. And Rod knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, I see. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm like, to me, the impact or the importance of Epona's debut, you know, and then obviously her being a presence in many other Zelda games beyond this, I think it should be a little higher in my own personal ranking. I think it would, and I don't know if maybe there was some like like those of us who are maybe more biased towards Ocarina of Time feeling like we needed to overcorrect.
Yes, I will say for sure for me, I'm a huge Ocarina of Time homer, so I was like, okay, I have to be objective, and and actually, I'm going to point out something coming up here pretty quick that I will point to for that.
This is one of those I think I compromised. It didn't push as hard as maybe I would have if I was like, I don't know, super like I am passionate about this moment. Like I love this quest. I love everything about it. I love the one-upping Ingo in the race, and you know, just like jumping over that fence is just so incredible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then exploring Hyrule Field on Epona is, you know, an experience like no other.
don't forget the bond that you make with Malin too. Like, I feel like that kind of plays into this as well. Like, just she's different from everyone else. Like, everyone kind of feels formal, maybe is the word to say, and Malin feels fun, and yeah, like that I think that has a bearing on this great moment as well.
I wanted to add, like, I have, even though I didn't play this game until I was 10, I do have a very early memory, and it is this moment of Ocarina of Time. I believe I was 5, so this game just came out, and I'm watching somebody in my family play it, and they are running around the track racing Ingo on Impa, and it's like such a distinct thing I remember about this game that when I saw it 5 years later, I was like, I remember like that, like this being a big deal when I watched whoever, I can't remember who it was playing it, but like it was so, it's like such a big moment that I remember it from when I was 5. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. Okay, well, from one Ocarina of Time moment to another, number 25 on our list, and by God, you can play this moment, or you can build this moment with Lego coming soon enough.
Yes.
Ganondorf's monstrous transformation before Ocarina of Time's epic final showdown. I really remember this moment for the one thing where in Ocarina of Time, every single boss has a subtitle except Ganon. It's just Ganon. And I feel like that, like, for me as a kid, like, really made this, I was just like, oh, like, this is the big bad of the series. And like, even in retrospect, like as you know, as we'll get to talking about like Blue Pig Ganon, I think that this was just like such a great interpretation of that design. It's a fantastic fight. The music is there, the drama is there, the sword is gone, Navi is getting into the fight with you, Zelda coming in with her powers, sealing Ganon for that final strike. Boom, boom, bam. This is great. Great stuff. I would have had this probably higher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm surprised this isn't really high on the list. I'm very
we
shocked
overcorrected.
by this.
We did because I didn't want to just, you know, I have to say, Rod, like I felt like in our discussions I might have been a bit overbearing, shocking.
Ooh.
But and I'm sure that maybe someone else maybe said that as well. So I also didn't want to push for something, because I picked my ones that I really wanted to champion, but this one was just so great.
This is in my top 10, honestly. Like
it'd be close.
I pushed it. I think like at some point, you know, Mossy's came, and whenever Mossy's entered the room, it was sort of like, all right, everyone puts, you know, let's sweep this up and start.
Nobody likes to argue with that guy except for me.
No, I argued with him, but you know, when you know he steps in, you know the progress you've made on this ranking is just going to go out the window.
You also know that you're in for another like 2 or 3 hour debate.
Yeah,
just start the clock.
Like I think at some point this was in consideration, or at least top 15, and then you know somehow it just got into the 20s, you know, and I am disappointed. I think this is, so when I think of Ocarina of Time and my formative experiences with Zelda, I played Ocarina of Time out of order because I would rent it from the video store, and I would play it from the start, you know, and then you get it the next week and someone's deleted your save, so you pick it up where someone else had, you know, left off. So you're playing the game, you're playing a save file, and then like there was always one save file that was finished, and it was saved right at Ganon's tower. And so I would play the end of this game before I like experienced like the Spirit Temple, for example. And so I remember this fight. Like there was a day everyone came to my house to watch the ending of Ocarina of Time. It was like a movie. All the neighborhood kids at my house.
That's so cool.
That's awesome, man. You know, modern gaming is great in a lot of ways, but there is something about that old school style. I remember watching a lot of my friends beat video games and stuff, and it was kind of a communal like activity. Like, and I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler to say like there's a lot more Ocarina of Time moments coming up on this list, but like I do wish I would have pushed for this one a little bit more. I think like in that 15 range would have been my my spot for this.
Yeah,
I definitely would have like bumped this up really, really high. This was a communal experience for me too with my brothers. We all beat this together and it was incredible. And then, but I also have memories at the marathon, you know, like with Andy. and like dying twice to this guy, and like, it was really upsetting. But also,
you beating this guy was a moment, like a top Zelda dungeon moment.
It was so incredible. Like I just felt so backed up by everybody that was there, even though it was really embarrassing. Like it was like I still felt very supported, and it was incredible. And the fact that you can have two different experiences, two different things from the same moment, make it still so incredible. I think that's really cool.
Dude, the pop when you finally beat Ganon was so huge.
My God.
I remember, Al was beating me the entire game, and she dies at Ganon, and so I'm going in, and we're kind of fighting, and it's like a race to see who's gonna finish first, and Al dies again, just as I'm about to hit like the final slash, and I give her like the, I'm sorry, I love you, and I do the bam. And,
yeah, that was great. And I have good memories with Gooey playing this game too, and like getting close to the end with Goo as well. And we're sitting together, and he's kind of my Ocarina of Time buddy because we're just both chill, helping each other out. I love that. So I have good memories with Goo in this part of the game too.
Yeah, I remember Leslie last year just having the game of her life, and she was worried about how she would perform, and she did so great.
And Kat, awesome.
Yeah, Kat, yeah, actually, you're totally right. Kat was awesome. She was great in that game, actually. So both of them did really well. Okay, let's move on. Number 24. Here we go. I think we've all been waiting for this game to show up. Link enters the Dark World in A Link to the Past. And who can forget, you have finally fought Aghanim, and all of a sudden what happens? The world changes. You are on top of a pyramid with this just apocalyptic background behind you. It's this golden period. You are like, what? Pyramid. You're like, what is going on? You are all of a sudden like a bunny. I remember it feeling very disorientating, like playing this for the first time. And I was like, how do I not become a rabbit? Like I thought this game was about to end, and I'm a bunny. Like what's going on? So I just like, this was such a like what kind of a moment when I played it, and I played it backwards. Like I played these, like, I played Ocarina of Time before I played A Link to the Past, but I remember this coming to the Dark World, just like, holy moly, like, this is something else.
I feel like I got cheated from this moment, because I had a similar experience as Rod getting a game that was already, like, completed, and we played The Link to the Past before we played Ocarina of Time, and my brothers and I were, like, had everything, and we're already in the Dark World, so really our weird transition was the opposite, where I was like, I'm gonna delete this file because we have to start the game over, and we're in the light world, and it was just normal looking, and I was like, oh, okay. So I feel like that I was robbed of the moment just because of the circumstance of how we. So unfortunately, this isn't a big impactful moment for me, but I get it. Like I get it. I was robbed.
Yeah.
And Andy, correct me. Did you push for this to be lower at some point?
I probably would have. Yeah, I was about to say, like, to Al's comment there, like, this was a great moment. It would have been lower on my list. It would have made it. It would have made the list, but I would have probably had it, like, 30-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, like, of all the A Link to the Past moments that we included on this to me was the top one. You know, like, there's one that's really high, and I won't mention what it is.
That's the one I pushed for, yeah.
I would have pushed for this to be in that spot, because to me this was such a cool, like 16-bit moment. Excuse me. Like I grew up playing N64, so like my games were like, you know, I was playing polygons, and so when I got the GBA and I'm playing like this Zelda game, this was my first top-down Zelda game, and even in 16-bit sprites with that music and that presentation, like that image we included in the article of Link on the Pyramid, to me, that was the coolest use of pixel art I'd ever seen. I was like, that rocks so hard. And I'm like, when I think of like great pixel art, you know, Super Nintendo like images, like I think of like the Super Metroid Samus coming down in the ship at the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
And this, you know, like nothing tops those two as far as like cool factor on the SNES. Like it, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Dark World. I love the music. I love just like that shadow in the horizon in the background. You know, everything works for the first moment in the Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a great moment. a little bit higher on my list, but I would not, like, I'm looking at it in this placement. I'm like, yep, that's awesome.
And I respect that. That's where I was like, I compromised. You know, I was like, everyone was speaking towards another A Link to the Past moment. I was like, you know what? I trust you guys. I played this years after the fact. So, yeah.
Let's go to another moment. I don't know if this would be on my list or not, but I completely understand why it's on the list. It didn't hit with me. But here we go. Midna's Lament. You knew it was coming, number 23. I do have to say, if I ever hear, turn the game audio on so we can hear the music when this is on the Zelda Dungeon Marathon again in my life, that will be too soon. I think this moment is like fine. It's it might have made my list. It might have been on the tail end of my list. I think the way it's positioned is a turning point for Zelda's greatest companion. I would dispute that, but I know that this moment definitely means a lot to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Which part would you dispute? The greatest companion or the turning point?
The greatest companion.
Oh, you're wrong.
He was going to say that either way.
Don't
you're
you
wrong.
know?
Who better?
Don't you know? I'm not. Well, there's another one that we'll get to.
Eslo? Or no? Fee.
We'll
I'm not
see
going
what
to
this
speak towards
list
any
tells
moments,
us.
but I'm just saying,
yes.
like, I don't think I'm alone in thinking Midna's the greatest companion.
No, you're not. And a lot of people, I think if you ask the majority of Zelda fans, they would probably agree with that. I just personally wouldn't, but you know what? I mean, like, it's a neat scene. The music certainly adds to the drama of this scene, and Zelda kind of just like sacrifices herself and comes back later, and that's a reoccurring theme that we'll see. And yeah, it's
Oh my God, Andy.
It's a fine moment.
I really like this moment. I definitely think it's very pivotal in Twilight Princess. I think it's definitely a moment where Midna like turns her trust towards Link and Zelda, where she might have been a little bit not trusting them before. And I like the drama of it. Like, it's just so tense, and you're like, I have to save Midna. I'm stuck as a wolf now. Like, after that really cool cinematic experience with Zant, especially, that was also a very cool moment. Like, and then Zelda, you know, sacrificing herself because she knows that Midna's the one who can take action and get stuff done at this time. So I think I really like this moment. This was another one where I played it with my brother, and we were experiencing this together, and yeah, I thought it was great. I don't know if it's really high on my list, but it's still on my list. I think it's a good moment.
I'm thankful that Alexis wrote this entry because she went really in detail on what came before and after this moment. Because, like, I think most people, when they play Twilight Princess, this moment does stand out with the music and Midna on your back as you're running through the fields and everything like that. That is a very important moment. And then obviously it culminates in Zelda, you know, saving her. But the cutscene before in Lanayru's like chamber, you know, or like her shrine, and witnessing that creepy cutscene, and then Zant coming in, and kind of honestly, like that was when like Zant's most sinister moment in that whole game.
Yeah, when I say that moment, I'm talking specifically about Zant, not the weird, creepy magic cutscene before that.
Well, Alexis pulls that in, you know, to kind of inform this moment, and then we used this moment as a cheat to say, well, at least we can allude towards the end of the game with Midna like becoming Link's like friend, you know, true friend, you know. So it's sort of like this represents Midna's full character arc. As a whole in our ranking. If people are upset that other Midna moments aren't on here, think of this moment as that whole character arc.
Okay.
What other Midna moments are there? Let's be honest. Like,
oh man,
as a Midna hater here, no, you know,
I'll have my revenge soon with another companion.
Don't worry, people will be coming after me for that one. Yeah, no, I think that this is like a fine moment. I do have a problem in Zelda, and Allison knows this very well, with sacrifices that just ultimately mean nothing. And they're and I had a problem with this in Metroid Prime 4. Like, these sacrifices that mean nothing. And, well, let's just get to it. Number 22, Link catches Zelda at the conclusion of Tears of the Kingdom. And I am going to surprise you, Allison, and say I was shocked that this did not rank much higher, and I pushed for this for you.
Wow.
That
I did.
I love that.
I thought Andy and I were like in agreement though. Like personally, this should be lower.
Personally, this
know
wouldn't be on my list at all, but I know that it's important.
I understand. That's why I was like willing to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, because I was like, everyone loves this moment, and Allison, you're gonna have to speak on it. But I'm just like, it's fine, it's cool. I like the music, and it was a cool end to the game. But Demon Dragon was so much cooler. That sticks out in my mind. Link's nipples stick out more in my mind because he's shirtless in this scene.
Okay. I mean, I know how, like, Andy's opinion about, like, the sacrifices. He cares more about the outcome. I care more about the intent. I think if somebody's willing to make a sacrifice not knowing, like, that they'll survive or not, I think that is an impact versus, well, they survive, so it means nothing. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But that comes to this point, and I think the reason this is such a beloved moment is not only is it epic, not only is Zelda back, not only is, like, she's been returned from this seemingly, at the time, irreversible sacrifice that she made. This is a full circle moment of the prologue of the game, like the Ouroboros that we see on the title card. It is so stunning. The atmosphere of it, the music of it, where it's combining the main theme, the Tears theme, and Zelda's Lullaby is insane. I have another personal connection to this moment. I've talked about this on the show before, but there's a Sailor Moon movie that does something very similar to this, where there's a big fall and you're trying to catch somebody who's super important to you. And so I, like, connected those two moments in me, like, experiencing this for the first time, and I started crying because, like, that was a big deal to me when I was a child. So, like, I just feel like it's such a big circle moment. Link missed her the first time, but he's not going to miss her this time, and she gets to live on now. Like, I just think that is so amazing, incredible. The music, the visuals, the colors, the sun setting or rising, whatever it's doing at this point, incredible. And that isn't to deter from, like, the dragon beast Ganon or whatever he's called. Like, that moment is also super incredible. You're fighting him with the light dragon with Zelda. Like, that is in its own so cool. But, like, this is also a separate, really incredible, moving moment. And I think this should be way higher. Like, this is way higher on my top 5 moments for me, probably.
I was shocked that this wasn't pushing for, like, top. I thought a lot of people think like you do, Al, and a lot of people love this moment. I was surprised that it was not higher. There was discussion of ranking it lower on this list.
I think that's why it landed right here, is because you have people who are really passionate like you, Al, and then people like me, Mossies, and Josh, for example, who are all just kind of like, I just don't get it. I don't get it, and I see your point, and I do agree that it's a really nice callback image to the very beginning of the game where Link fails. So it does have resonance, but I was just
so don't say I never do anything for you, Al, because I pushed and I was like, Allison would not speak to me again if I did not say, like, this is an important moment.
To say this was polarizing, I think that it's somewhat polarizing on this list.
I just think that's kind of crazy that it is like a polarizing topic. But I mean, I guess I get why maybe not everybody feels. I just feel so strongly about it, like a flutter in my chest whenever I think about it. Just like, and like the kind of like moved emotions that I felt experience. I wish I could experience it for the first time again. It's hard for me to believe that nobody else, or that some other people didn't get that feeling.
I think for me, Al, it's like, it's a moment for a moment's sake. You know what I mean? It feels unearned, and I totally respect what you're saying about, like, the intent, but I don't know. I just to me it felt cheap, and it was like okay, well then, like, I feel like if you're just gonna go back on what you said, and by the way, hold on, let me finish.
On what you said.
Well, let me finish though. If the game had found a way to explain in story how they were able to do this, I think that this would have been a really strong moment, because you're right, like, the presentation of this moment is fantastic. Like, the scenery, the coming back on what you had done at the beginning of the game, like, all of that, you're right. But I think like I felt like I was like lied to or sold something that wasn't true with this big reveal. I actually like I would have put Zelda swallowing the stone as a moment, and I don't even remember if that is here or not, but that one to me is more of the impact than this one, because I'm just like, how did this happen? And I feel like I was lied to earlier in the game. So, and I think that's why some people don't resonate with this, right?
And you're saying that the explanation that they give at the end of the game with Minoru is not, it wasn't good enough for you? Like, it didn't make sense to you? Or?
I don't even remember what her explanation was.
Well, there is an explanation in the game. You said if there was, then it would be different.
Well, okay, if there's a good explanation in the game, then yes.
Okay, so it wasn't good enough for you. Got it. Okay, fine. I think that's fine. What the only umbrage I have with what you're saying is like you feel like betrayed, lied to. It's like no lie was told. It's just that things were reversed. Something magical and miracle happened, you know. But she still made this out. She still, you know, put her life on the line to do. There's no lie there, you know.
Surely you can see though how that might leave some people wanting for this moment.
I can understand being like, oh, okay, I guess she comes back magically now. I can get that. I can understand that. But to me, like, the intent doesn't change. She still made this monumental sacrifice of her life.
Where is this on your list? Like top, is this challenging for number 1 on your list?
No, because I think the swallowing the stone is a bigger moment. Like, I agree with you there. So I would say the swallowing the stone is definitely above this. I wouldn't say this is number 1, but I'm thinking top 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like your intense like support for this, I think definitely, you know, it outweighs the kind of like this begrudging, like, yeah, it should be on the list, but it shouldn't be very high attitude that I have, and that like Mossy's
and made it kind of in the middle.
Yeah, and that's how it happened.
I do promise you, I did push for this.
I appreciate that.
Andy, the explanation in the timeless words of Huey Lewis, that's the power of love.
Well,
there you go.
You know what? There you go. It worked in Interstellar. Why doesn't it work in this game? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our last one for today because we are going to finish this week. We're going to finish this list next week.
We will finish this week.
Oh, God. This has been a long show. I am dying over here. This is, of any show to do while I feel sick, this was probably not the best one.
You're doing great.
Okay. This, speaking of love, Al, speaking of love, of all the moments on this entire list, I pushed the hardest for this. I think Rod was ready to throw me out of the chat because he was like, I don't want to hear about this moment one more time. But I was so adamant that of all of the moments from this game, this was the most iconic moment. And that is the Seaside date with Marin in Link's Awakening. And really, like, this is kind of a prelude to the moment that we talked about earlier at the Face Shrine, and what makes that moment so powerful is because for the first time in Zelda, you really have like a love interest. And like, yes, I know that the princess kisses you in the other games and stuff like that, but this is the first time that you really sit down and connect with someone and they tell you about their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations. And I think that this moment is just like so powerful in the game. It's I mean, it's a cutscene in a Game Boy game, which you really don't see a lot of, like, at all. And it really sets the tone for what, like, if this moment doesn't exist, that revelation later, I don't think means as much, if anything. So I was a big proponent of this list. I think me and Kat were the ones that were really pushing this.
And Cora and Nicole as well.
I guess they were. They were on our side. Yeah, we won them over. I think that this is a great moment. Rod, how did you feel about this one? Because I don't think you were super high on it.
Like I said, if there were we've done it. There are 2 Link's Awakening moments on this ranking. You know, spoilers for the last half, but there was so much argument about which one was higher than the other, and I and Alex specifically were pushing for the Southern Face Shrine revelation to be higher than this date scene. And I love this date scene. It's cute, you know, and it's meaningful, and I really like the way it's presented in the remake. You know, it's just like adorable. But I was just like, what, it's just kind of a thing that happens. It's like one little event in a game full of fun little events. Like, I honestly, if I was going to include a Marin scene, I would include you rescuing her from the bridge with the hook shot. That's so much more fun to me, or learning the song from her. But Andy made a really good case just now why this is so high. And then Cora said, listen, Nintendo just put this Game Boy Lego out. It was, you make your little Lego and you could change out the screens on the Lego set. And of all the screens from Link's Awakening that they could have chose to represent that game in this Lego, they chose this one of Link and Marin on the beach. And I was like, all right, and at some point I just said, Alex and I are getting outvoted. I yield my time.
Yeah. I mean, like, say what you will. Like, you could disagree or not agree with it, but I think like there's almost no debate. Like, this is like the scene from the game. Like, if you're to see, like, if you Google Link's Awakening, this is probably what comes up, right? Like this moment, or it's probably one of the more famous shots from this game. Al is still stewing over Zelda and Link being caught, but what do you think? What do you think about this?
I mean, again, this is kind of how I felt about the earlier Link's Awakening. I didn't experience this game the same way as a lot of people, or like that you guys did. It came to me in 2019. I already knew what was going on, so to me, it just didn't hit hard. I think it's a sweet moment. It's cute. I definitely wouldn't put it on my list or above the previous moment, but like, I get it. Like, I get what's so important about it, and I think it's sweet. It's one of those things where I was robbed because I didn't play it when I was I didn't play it because I wasn't born yet. That's why.
What's the matter? You're not playing games while you're incubating there, Al?
Well, I'm in the womb. No, it was not.
What kind of Zelda fan are you? Okay. Everybody, that is... Actually, you know what? We do have to talk about really quickly before we go. Al, you said that there were some moments. You haven't seen the rest of the list yet. Do you want to take... Do you want to take like, what are some moments that you're hoping to see next week when we do this list?
Okay. Zelda swallowing the secret stone.
Okay.
Fi's farewell. Zelda and the crystal and Skyward Sword. Sheik's revelation in Ocarina of Time. I mean, I don't know if like Ganondorf swallowing the secret stone counts if we did that earlier with like the health meter. I don't know.
I think that's probably also included. I would imagine. That's
a really cool moment too. Yeah, stuff like that. Like, I feel like those are like really big ones.
I'm surprised that you didn't say. There's one that I thought you'd say for sure.
Well, I don't know. I'm on the
spot. It'll come to you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there it is, everybody. The not even the top 40. We have spent 2 hours going through the first 20 moments, so number 40 to number 21, the best moments in the Legend of Zelda franchise so far. And next week we are going to be doing it all over again, unless we get a Nintendo Direct, and then we'll delay the week. Oh my god, we'll delay the episode a week. I'm dying over here. Let's bring it home. Go read the article. You know what? And if you haven't read it yet, actually, maybe only read 1 to 20. Maybe do what Allison's doing and come and do the rest of it with us next week as we kind of bring this all home. Rod, if you would like to join us next week, the invitation is open.
I'll be here.
All right. Well, just a huge congrats to Rod and the writing team for putting this together. It was not an easy task. We will be finishing our review next week. We hope that you have enjoyed this so far. Let us know what moments you're hoping to see on the top half of the list. If there are any snubs so far that have not made the list, that we have spoiled, that don't make the list, and what you think of what's here. Let us know. I think that's it, guys. I think we've done all we can do for today.
Wow. So far, like, this has been so much bigger than like the best Zelda ever lists that we do every year that you guys like always accomplish, and it's crazy. This is like so much bigger. So like, congrats. This is insane. This is such a cool project.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who contributed to this project, by the way. And I'll say this again next week, but all the writers who wrote, about these moments, all the people who voted in our little surveys and shared moments in the Google Docs, and all this like behind the scenes stuff that goes on. Like this was one of the most intensive projects we've ever done.
I just want to say, it is next year is also my 40th anniversary, so I'm expecting like a top 40 list. Moments. That's right. So let's start thinking, everybody. Start thinking, okay?
Oh my god.
Okay, that's gonna do it for us. We are going to get out of here. Thank you so much to everybody for checking us out. Give us a follow over on Blue Sky at the Zelda Cast, at Spiteri316, at Allison Oliva, at Rod the Master, and of course go over to ZeldaDungeon.net. Check this list out for yourself. And I do want to give actually a shout out to our social team as well, who made a really great companion piece full of images, really fun. Just a colorful way to display this list as well. So that is available on our Blue Sky and Instagram. So shout out to Katie and her team. We're out of here. Go check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, recommend, rate, review, do your thing. Tell that fan in your life that loves Zelda, hey, every Monday there's a show with the Zelda Cast. You can check it out. Leave us a review. It actually would be especially awesome if you wouldn't mind doing that. If you want to watch these podcast in video form, you can check out Zelda Dungeon's YouTube page over on the podcast playlist. Go and give them a sub over there. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/SPNet, if you want to get even more Zelda Cast loves. Gooey and I are doing the Zelda Cast XL. We're playing some games, taking fan questions. You can get involved in the show. $4 gets you in the door, and there is a plethora of content for you to enjoy over on patreon.com/SPNet as well. That's it, folks. We're out of here. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you back here next week. Take care.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.